Garfield White.
Good evening.
I'm just ad-libbing here tonight. I just came in at 6:30 and picked up a copy of the budget. When you go through it, there's all kinds of questions, and I guess there's answers to every question, but I came to page 14, and I'm just wondering what I want to ask. First of all, I like to have the city manager stand up and give an explanation as to why in the city manager staff and the corporate services, we have a total of 171 people employed
Mr. White,
for those two departments.
so you really need to sort of address your questions to us.
Oh,
Okay. And if you want to put them all out, then we'll see what we can do. So did you have more than that?
Well, I was asking, yeah, I wanted, that question of staff employment, those two numbers, 61 and 110. The city manager's office has a staff of 61 individuals, and corporate services 110, which is seems to be a great number of people, and the expense of operating those two departments must run into the millions of dollars. But besides that, the one line that comes to my attention.
So can you tell me what page you're on, sir?
I'm talking on page 14.
Page 14.
But the number that stands out to me says the budget for temporary wages is $4,200,000 and a decrease of $34,000. So what I'm asking, what is temporary wages? What does that mean? And also, before you answer that, the budget for overtime wages for city departments is approximately $1.4 million. The budget for overtime wages. So in other words, in the budget, you have set aside $1.5 million for overtime. Now, if I was a city manager, and he is the one that speaks on behalf of the city, and you are the city manager?
Where is actually, sir?
Right.
I'll be able to help you in a second.
Okay.
So just.
But if he's putting $1.5 million for overtime, and we're running into nearly a 3% increase, I would be saying to the departments, the overtime this year is not going to be $1.5 million. We got to cut it down, and we can cut that in half. And I don't know how these numbers are put together, and where does overtime come into $1.5 million? But if that was cut in half, a lot of these expenses and problems would be sort of solved very quickly. But just answer those two questions. Why a staff of 175 people, I'm using round numbers, for two departments, and why is the overtime $1.5 million?
Okay.
And
So if you'll give me a
that's all
second.
I'll say. And one other thing too, I think I've heard that these concessions that you are giving away for various developments in the city, to have them start, seem to be, I don't know, I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but someone knows how much the concessions are to get the Holiday Express started, and how much money, how much revenue you're losing every year because of that. I don't say you don't have to give away concessions, but whoever does it in negotiations have got to be stronger and come on in a firmer way, rather than giving away giving away everything, and then the city is suffering for years and years because they're not paying the appropriate amount that other people are paying.
Okay,
And that's
so,
all I was
well, don't leave. I'm going to get you the answer to your questions, okay? So, Ms. Sennett, on page 14, could you give, in the middle of the last line on the page is the budget for temporary wages. Can you give an explanation what the temporary wages cover, please?
Thank you, Mayor Henry. The temporary wages that are outlined in the budget would cover off temporary resource requirements in a variety of programs where there could be vacancies or there could be seasonal coverages required.
Okay. And to the comment on next to these overtime wages is approximately $1.4 million. Could you give a comment on that, please?
Similar to the explanation on temporary wages, overtime from time to time is required to cover off in areas where there might be staff vacancies and the appropriate resources aren't required, or there could be instances where we have requirements for overtime in the winter when there's plowing that's required on off business hours, and in the case of fire as well.
How much an hour are they factoring in? When you do that budget, what are you talking at 1,000 hours, 5,000 hours at $50 an hour, or what? How do you come up with $1.5 million?
Well, it's based on usage from the year before and forecasted forward.
Well, that was the year before. This is this year, and we're talking about a 3% increase.
I understand.
So, you know, that department and the city manager has got to come on strong.
Okay.
He's got to, you know, this is it. I mean, doesn't everything stop at his line? Does he okay everything? Sure. Overtime's $100 an hour, whatever you want, sure.
So
we'll give it to you.
Okay, so now will you be able to take questions from members of council?
Go ahead.
Okay. Does any member of council wish to ask a question? Sorry, Councillor Diamond.